it may not be evening technically, but when it gets dark outside, to me, that is evening. So that being said, I just got a few words here before we call roll. The governor has issued a disaster declaration related to public health concerns caused by statewide COVID-19 pandemic. As chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals, I've determined that an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent because of the risk of exposure to the COVID-19 virus stemming from an indoor gathering, and that a remote meeting is in the best interests of health, safety, and the welfare of the board, staff, and general public. Ms. Davidson, if you would call roll, please.
Sure. Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Schaub. Mr. Blakeney.
Here.
Ms. Brand.
Here.
Mr. Penn.
Here.
Mr. Palmgren.
Here.
Mr. Sampson.
Here.
Okay, we do have enough here for a quorum. I would certainly entertain any comments, changes, additions, what have you, to any of the minutes, if there are any that are needed from last meeting.
No, I make a motion, we accept the minutes of the November meeting as presented.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Davidson, if you could call a vote.
Sure. Mr. Blakeney.
Yes.
Mr. Penn.
Yeah.
Mr. Sampson.
Yes.
Mr. Palmgren.
Yes.
Ms. Brand.
Yes.
And Mr. Anderson.
Yes. Minutes are approved. All right, we'll go ahead and start with the first item here in our docket. It is item number 20-12-19-B. It's a lot width variance located at 809.5 and 811 Kern. And Ms. Davidson, if you'd like to share a little bit of this, give us a little background on this and before we open this up to the public.
Sure. So are you seeing a map on your screen, an aerial map?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So this is the property at 811 Kern Street. It's right here, the house. As I mentioned in the report, this is actually 2 lots of record, which were surely platted decades ago, maybe 100 years ago. But one house was built. There was never another house. The owner would like to sell off this second lot to potentially be developed as another home. In order to do that, though, we would be left with 2 lots that are not, that don't meet the code's current width requirements. So right now in this zoning classification, you should have a 60-foot wide lot, and the way this would be divided up, it would leave the lot with the house as a 55-foot width, and the other lot would be 53 feet. And this is under, per code, you aren't supposed to divide up lots if they're under common control. If in so doing, you would leave a non-conforming lot. The alternative being you can ask for a variance, which is what's happening now. Staff supports this. In this neighborhood, it's not uncommon at all to have a lot that's down to 50 feet in width. You can see the lots in the vicinity are closer to 50 feet. This one over here is not far off of that either. We do think it's a unique thing in these old neighborhoods with really old lot structures. So we're comfortable with it and are recommending in favor of it. And we did send notice out like we always do, and we did hear from the next door neighbor, and he does not, he couldn't attend. He doesn't have a problem with it, and he wanted to thank you all for your service.
Okay.
Great. That's nice to hear. We don't always hear that, so I appreciate you adding that in, Ms. Davidson. So basically, again, the minimum lot width is 60 feet, and it looks like with lot 4 in selling that off, it's going to be short by about 7 feet. Is that accurate?
That's correct. And I have the lot configuration up for you to look at, and you can see that he's actually transferred a few feet over to his lot with his house on it, so that he has the required side yard setback for this zoning classification. So he'll have the 6-foot side yard setback that he needs, the minimum at least. And if anyone were to purchase the other lot and build a house on it, they would have to also meet the side yard setbacks unless they came and got a variance.
Understood. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, we will go ahead and open up the public portion of that. Do we have anyone here that would like to add to any of what Ms. Davidson has already shared with everyone? I understand we do have at least one person here that may share information.
Yes, the owner, Mr. Mikesell, is here, even though his screen says Greg Tremmel. That is not Greg. That is Mr. Mikesell.
So, Mr. Mikesell, if you would do us a favor and state your name and your address.
Okay, I'm Donald Mikesell at 811 Kern Street.
And if you just raise your right hand and just affirm what you're about to tell us is the truth.
It's the truth.
Thank you. All right, anything you'd like to add to?
No, it was explained very well. I would like to sell a lot to build a house on it, and that's the only way I'd sell it. I'm getting older and I get too much maintenance of the yard, so if it happens, somebody wants to buy it, that's fine. If not, well, I'll just hang on to it and maintain it.
So your plan is to actually, again, separate the lot and then and build yourself, or have somebody else build? And
Let somebody else build. I'm too old and don't have that much money to
well,
invest.
maybe I didn't phrase that right. To sell the lot, or put improvements on the lot and then sell it?
I'll sell the lot with the understanding that people build a house on it.
Gotcha.
If I don't, what'll happen, they'll buy the lot and then they won't maintain it and it'll be a mess.
Right.
So
Okay.
I put it in that ruling so that that doesn't happen.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions for Mr. Mikesell?
I have none.
I have none.
I don't have any.
Okay.
Just a comment, Mr. Mikesell, how glad are you that the buses don't park across the street from you anymore on the regular basis?
I'm very happy. I
Yeah,
used to go to school there.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
well, that was probably a good switch that they moved that away from you all in that neighborhood. That's a lot of diesel
Yeah.
smell. So I appreciate them moving that out to Northtown area.
It worked out a lot better for them.
All right. Do we have anybody else present, Ms. Davidson, that is to speak to this? No? Okay.
No.
Hearing no more questions for Mr. Mikesell, we'll go ahead and close the public portion. Any comments, questions, dialogue, questions for staff, any comments anybody would like to share? We'll go ahead and entertain those now.
I do have a question for staff. Would it be possible for somebody to build a house on that lot without having to get a variance for the side yard?
Mhm. It would be a narrow house, but there are neighborhoods, like if you go to Payne Place, there are 50-foot lots that have just houses that fit.
Okay,
just not
all
big.
right. Thank you.
This is Gary Blakeney, and it is a narrow lot, but it's a very, very deep lot. So my thought would be that they could put a house on it, a fair size house with a garage behind it, like they do in the older neighborhoods. It would seem to work out well.
Great. Any other questions, comments to share? Okay.
Well, it would be nice to get another piece of property there that could pay some real estate taxes.
Todd, if you're looking for a motion, I'll make one.
I am looking for a motion.
I make a motion that we put his request in the affirmative for yes.
I'll second it.
Okay. Davison, if you could call for a vote, please.
Sure. Ms. Brand,
Yes.
Mr. Palmgren,
Yes.
Mr. Penn,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Mr. Blakeney,
Yes.
and Mr. Anderson.
Yes. Variation request has been approved. And so I suppose maybe some further dialogue with staff, I'm not sure, but free to pursue the sale of the lot.
Great. We'll talk to Mr. Mikesell after this and make sure he's square.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, there is another item that's listed here, item number 20-11-18-V. It's an amended special use permit at 501 Northtown, which is also known as Beyond Below. That is tabled or being carried over. I don't know if that's being carried over to January or a later date. It's been carried over at least, I think, twice already.
I think this will be the second time, but they do intend to come in January,
All
as far
right.
as we know.
Okay, very good. Any other items for the good of the group beyond telling people that I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas?
You as well.
Yes, yes.
You
Merry
too,
Christmas
Todd.
and
Everybody
happy
else.
holidays. Yes. It's been an unusual year, so we'll see how 2021 is.
Has to be better, Gary.
Yeah.
Has to be better.
It has to be better.
We're all anxious to get 2020 in our rear view mirror for sure.
Hey, this is the normal for me. I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is how
Well, again, as always, I appreciate all the work that goes in front of all these meetings by staff, and then of course the getting everybody together for these meetings to join us via Zoom. So thank you again for that. Any other items for the good of the group?
No?
Hearing none, I think we have to take do we have to take a vote for adjournment? I chair another board, and we're not a public, it's a not-for-profit, so we handle it a little different. So I always get a little confused with that, but
Todd, for Sister Cities, we make a motion to adjourn and somebody seconds it and we walk out smiling. So I don't know if that's right or wrong.
Jason, do you have an opinion on this as our attorney?
You know, I've always said to take the vote since we've started this COVID stuff, and I guess do it this time and I'll get a real answer for next time.
all right.
Oh, okay, great. Well, okay. If someone wants to move in second, I'll write it down. I'll call the vote. So,
I'll make a
I
motion.
moved
to
that the
adjourn.
meeting be adjourned.
Oh, then I'll second it.
all right. Do you want me to call the roll?
Yes, please.
Okay. Mr. Blakeney,
Yes.
Ms. Brand,
Yes.
Mr. Penn, Mr. Palmgren,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
and Mr. Anderson.
Yes. We are
Great.
adjourned. Well,
Hi,
thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you. Have a great holiday.
Thanks.
Good holiday.
Happy holidays.
Yep.
Take care, everyone.